Okay, guys, today I will be interviewing the best-selling author of the complete Idiot Guide to Alchemy, and I would like to thank him for creating this book because I think it's very fascinating. How are you doing, Dennis?
Hi, thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. Um, can you introduce to the audience who you are, please?
I'm actually, my background's in mathematics and science, and I came to alchemy while I was still in graduate school at the University of Vienna in Austria. Uh, I was in the library and alchemy texts from the 1200s and 1300s, and they just kind of piqued my curiosity with mostly the pictures were obviously containing more information than the text, and the pictures is what really drew me in. There was a lot of symbolism, a lot of meaning, and I eventually ended up being apprenticed to an alchemist in Italy, and spent 3 years learning alchemy. So spent less time on my math and more time on alchemy back then.
Okay. Thank you so much for the intro. Um, you said the symbolic. Like, what make you interest? You said they have the symbolic symbol behind alchemy. Like, what is it? Like that? Because I know that the I read in the what is it called the the where Sir Isaac Newton, I think, and Leonardo da Vinci was in alchemy, doing alchemy, and Carl Jung, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. That's really how they communicated their findings in alchemy. They kept it secret because of the church persecution, and for other reasons, they just wanted to hide their discoveries. And so they spoke in symbols a lot of the time, like a wolf would indicate antimony, a metal antimony, and other processes like calcination, which is a fire operation, would be symbolized by fire, or a dragon, a fire-breathing dragon, or the water operation dissolution would be symbolized by a, a lake or a mermaid or a fish or something like that. So all these symbols came together, but they not only symbolized everyday elements and metals and processes, they symbolized feelings they were having, spiritual information about what was going on during the processes. So, I mean, we're talking about a time when science was not even around yet. And so they went by their feelings in their heart, mind, intuition. They used all their talents, really. They weren't specialized like we are today. They were open to intuition and feelings and impressions that we really have a struggle to find today, I think. And for instance, in their operations to change lead into gold, it was a metaphor of their own spirit into a higher, more perfect form, and also into integrating their personality and evolving their own soul with the changes that the metals were seen to go through. In other words, the alchemists suffered with this experiment, just like the metals did or the compounds did during their transformations. So the same operations, like the heat operation or calcination, they would apply that to themselves. They would increase the intensity of their own thoughts and reflect on themselves in a really intense way. Or in dissolution, the water operation, they try to have feelings come in or emotions take over precedence over thoughts, so that they would have this feeling of dissolving and merging into energy of their own. So these were deep operations, and it was really recognized until Carl Jung started his investigations into alchemy and realized there was a profound psychological connection here between these operations that were going on in the laboratory and the same operations that were going on inside the alchemist.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That's um, very interesting. How can you explain to the audience what is alchemy, and can you give us the audience the history on alchemy? Because I like what you say in the alchemy book. You explain it very simple to understand.
Yeah, alchemy really is a simple concept. It's simply the art of transformation. So all the way back to Egyptian founding of alchemy, the focus has been what are the processes of transformation. It wasn't as much about changing lead into gold. That was more of a medieval thing that first did, and the people out for money and charlatans and all the bad reputation that alchemy got. But the original teachings of alchemy, the Hermetic teachings in Alexandria, they were about transforming the art, the principles of transformation. What were the principles, the universal principles that could be applied to laboratory stuff, compounds, chemicals, but also the human spirit and the human mind.
Ah, okay. Thank you so much for that. Uh, why did you write the book, The Completed Idiot Guide to Alchemy?
I've actually written a dozen books or so on alchemy, and Penguin is my publisher, and they asked me to write that Complete Idiot's Guide to Alchemy, and I thought that this would be a breeze, would be simple, but it was very difficult for me to write that because I had to put it down to terms that people would understand who had no idea what alchemy was or who had misconceptions about alchemy. So it was a challenge to write that book, and that I wanted to address the fool or the idiot, the person who didn't have any preconceptions about alchemy. Now that's a good thing in alchemy. In fact, like in the tarot cards, which is an expression of the operations of alchemy, actually, and the Fool card, the Zero card, which is outside the process of transformation of the other 21 trump cards. The Fool card has everything he needs to complete his own transformation. It's all in the knapsack he carries. So hidden in the knapsack that he has with him all the time is everything he needs to complete his transformation. In other words, you don't need a formal education. You don't need an apprenticeship. Every one of us has everything we need inside us if we'll seek within us and find it there. So it's not an initiatory thing. There's no big secret about it. It's all there for us to discover through looking within. And that's how I wanted to sorry.
That's okay.
To explain it in the Fool's Guide, Idiot's Guide.
Ah, okay. Thank you so much. What I listen to you when I hear it, you are right. Too many of that's what I've been trying to explain to people that you don't need formal education. That because basically, I was put in, in elementary school to high school. They put me in the special education, and they said I had a learning disability. But I think they were wrong in the sense that they didn't, school didn't teach you about the brain, how the memory works, or how, the left and the right hemisphere. I have to learn that through, self-help books. And I wish that they explained that how our brain is like, massive neurons, billions of them, and that we can use this and harness. And you're right, we have this power within us. You heard about I think you heard, I remember either in your book you said The Secret. You heard about The Secret, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. You believe in The Secret or the law of attraction?
I was
Or
actually asked to consult on when they were first forming that, become part of that movement. It was originated in Australia, and The Secret is based on very basic Hermetic principles. Basically, that our mind and our thoughts influence our realities, and I think that's even been proven true in quantum mechanics and other areas where the science of consciousness studies is really an interesting place to be today, because there's a lot of breakthroughs being made. And in fact, I spoke last year at the Science of Consciousness conference in Arizona, University of Arizona, And there were a lot of people there who were realizing that, as you said, our brains are plastic. Our brains, each one of our brains has potential that cannot be contained in a school or formal education. I know from my own personal experience that alchemy taught me how to unlearn all the damage that grade school, high school, and college did to me, did to my thoughts, and it freed me from that, really. So you have to spend as much time out of school unlearning what these fools, what these people with other agendas have taught us, who want history to be a certain way. And really, history is how you relive it. It's not, history is irrelevant unless it becomes living again within you. And each of us have to become interested. That's the first step. And if they kill your interest, if they kill your will to find truth in something, like they do in schools, you don't have any hope of ever gaining any wisdom in anything. So it's really, as you said, they do a lot of damage. They don't mean it, of course, but a lot of our institutions have agendas, and it's not the agenda of finding truth necessarily.
Well, yes, I read it in the entrepreneur book. Well, it's at they built school. It wasn't built school for the average person. It was actually so they were made to work as an employee for the rich. Well, that's so I read from Seth Godin and many entrepreneurs, and I read like a history. It's really deep where it's their school was based on like a mind control where they control the kid mind to do this certain way so they can obey instead of thinking, well, they tend to box us in a way that really wasn't meant for us to be really, fully blossom and have potential, And I wish that, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally. It's it's more like factory schools. They're turning out certain cogs in the wheel that we become. I mean, it's not true of all teachers, of course, and it's that apprenticeship where the instructor cares about what you're learning. That's missing in our schools. It's about getting us out, having us pass certain tests and to show us where we're at. And it takes, for everyone who gets out of school, not only do they have a lot of loans to repay, they have a lot of work to do on unlearning habits that they picked up as being part of this factory system. But we have to become independent, and that's the first step before we can understand. We have to become free thinkers. We have to become free of political and religious and parental and self illusions and expectations and striving, and all that really takes a long time to undo that damage.
Yeah, you were right. I'm not against teacher. I love teachers. They're really nice people.
Yeah.
It's just, because I get when I was a kid, teacher were always, I'm always kind to the teacher. Well, I'm always kind to people regardless how they acted toward me. But yeah, they're nice people. It's just that they weren't aware. I think it had to take people who are like essentially like being aware as you are to the reality that we live in. I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff that you're talking about. That I wish more people would know about how that essentially we don't have to be a victim. That we can create our own, reality. And I would like to ask you, how can we use alchemy to transform our life? Because that's what your whole book is about. And also, there's more. Can you explain that to the audience, please?
Basically, the principles of alchemy, and as I mentioned, they were sought as universal principles that would apply in all levels. And there has come, after much research in my life, and also Carl Jung and others, that there is this pattern of transformation within alchemy, that there's this pattern of transformation in the universe. So there are these operations or stages, and basically the key thing about the whole process is that it deals with both light and darkness within ourselves and within the universe. In other words, we're caught in this duality, which most of us realize that we can call it good and bad, right and left, male and female. But either path is an illusion. The darkness or the light or the male or the female, being masculine and aggressive all the time or passive and feminine all the time. Neither one of those alone will lead to the truth. So it's a combining of what the alchemists call the conjunction of these different viewpoints that really lead towards the one understanding. So for a male, that's accepting your side, your intuition, your feelings, your emotions. And for a female, that's becoming more in tune with the logical and the precise, maybe materialistic way the masculine psyche has to be done. So there's work on both sides. So we spend so much of our time trying to go toward the light, if you will, trying to do the right thing all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But within our own experience, personally, we all understand that there's a darkness there too. And we push it away. And by pushing it away, we give it energy. We give it power over us. We give it fear, if you will. That whole darkness in alchemy is part of the energy you get for transformation. It's like in physics, dark matter there that contains all the energy in the universe. And we can't understand it. We can't get to it. We just have to accept that that's there and part of the universe. Do we do that in our own lives? No. We really hide our depression, and we don't want to deal with dark thoughts in that dark space. But an alchemist would say you have to examine that part. You have to live that part. You have to be depressed. Depression and darkness is a tool in the personality. Psychologists will tell you the same thing. Of course, it's about dealing with the unconscious. So if you want the full view of reality, you have to accept darkness and light, and we don't do that in our society. We've got religious extremists, and we've got political extremists saying that everything's good and everything has to be good and has to be in the light. Has to be logical, even as scientists do the same thing. But there are other aspects that we're pushing away as a culture and as individuals. So that's the first step, and that's a very, very hard step for most people to do, to realize that good and evil may be just people's opinions, that in the larger view, there are no good and evil, there are just duality, just different aspects of things. So that's a way that the alchemists thought that is not used today. That most people, wherever you meet them on a bus, in a party, at school, they're always projecting this better side, this good side, and yet there's a lot of darkness in all our personalities that we ignore, and that's where the work has to be done. We have to try to be, it's like get real. You have to look at yourself hard in alchemy to do these processes. So once you're on that path, it becomes simpler to apply these operations to yourself. And it's like the fire operation calcination is starting out to see how your life is going bad, what areas are things not working out for you, because all of us are going to go through that. Things are going to screw up in our lives. And that's where we learn. That's how we start to see that our ego is not the only thing that's going on in the world. So those are hard lessons that burn. And the dissolution operation comes after that. And letting your emotions flow, recognizing emotional power and feelings and not pushing them off, not being totally scientific or totally logical, but allowing for personal interactions to realize that we learn from our relationships and ideas like that. And part of this watery operation. Fire and water really the key operations in alchemy, which can be seen as the fire of the masculine and the water of the feminine. The king and queen or other symbolic. The whole process there is very key about. They even say that Saturn and Jupiter are symbols of these first two operations. So you can also look at this as a journey through the metals or a journey through the planets, away from Saturn to the Sun, and each planet is also a metal, is also an operation in alchemy. Saturn is lead, and Jupiter is tin, and Mars is iron, and Venus is copper, and the Sun's gold, and silver is the moon, and Mercury is mercury, quicksilver. So the process of changing lead into gold is a very distinct planetary process. It's an archetype that's in our galaxy and in the universe everywhere. And this process of changing one metal, transmuting one metal into another also takes place within us. And it takes a while to recognize that we have metals within us and that our whole temperament is about tempering of the metals or heating them and changing them. So that's the operations in alchemy.
Okay, thank you so much. I do agree with you with how we live in a male-dominant society. That's what happened. That the guys see the thing is, I'm okay with crying. I'm okay with being depressed. It's just that too many people see as if you cry, that means you're not manly. Except that causes problem with their relationship with other female because they're not feminine, and they haven't because female are emotional and they haven't accepted their emotional side, right? And while female now are trying to add, they're now coming toward like masculine, but yeah, I do agree with you with that one, and thank you so much for that one. What is Ouroboros? Because this is one of my brother's favorite thing. Can you explain what is Ouroboros?
The Ouroboros is the snake, or a snake eating its own tail, and it's a classic symbol in alchemy that has deeper significance, like most symbols in alchemy. The snake eating its own tail is a symbol of time, actually. It's in the Emerald Tablet, and it's I would say one of the most profound and secret symbols in alchemy. Not only does it indicate the cycle of time, in other words, the cycle of destruction and creation in the universe, but it also indicates a process of eternity. In other words, you're eating yourself. Therefore, you're perpetuating yourself over and over again in that circle. When it applies to the operations in alchemy, it's saying that there is a self-perpetuating process in alchemy, which is the process of lead into gold, actually, that perpetuates forever. There is something within us that perpetuates forever, that can go on, our consciousness or an energy that can go on. That's implied in those teachings too. And in fact, in the secret initiations, that's the basis of much of the Hermetic teaching. In the process of time, it implies that the past, the now is the only real thing, that point where we're creating in the circle. And it implies that the past is not only creates the future, but the future somehow changes the past. And that this whole process is how the universe evolves. So we know in physics that time is an illusion, that time itself is a process that has no independent existence in the universe. So there's something about our interpretation of past, present, and future that's foggy or wrong. And if we look into the deeper writings of the Einstein, said the same thing, that past and future are related. That in other words, what we do in the future influences what we've done in the past, and that in turn influences the future. So it's got this feeling of an Ouroboros, of something feeding on itself in that way. That's just one interpretation. The others involve even chemical operations. There are processes in alchemy that perpetuate all by themselves in the report, and much of distillation, that whole process about heating a vapor and going up, and it condenses back down. And that's an Ouroboric operation. And once we go ahead.
I was thinking, I just had when you said that, isn't almost Ouroboros almost the same as above, so below?
Oh, that's it. That's the phrase in the Emerald Tablet that refers to this secret process in the universe called the Ouroboros.
Oh, I just had it. That means our conscious mind and the subconscious mind is also Ouroboros.
Excellent. That's correct. Yeah. It's in the dark, the light and the darkness, and also spirituality and materialism. They're all above and below, which is part of this Ouroboric pattern.
Oh, so that means it's also within us, and so as the universe, and it's also there's a deeper meaning to this. Oh, sorry. I just got like chills. Oh wait, that means there's. Oh wow. Oh yeah, go ahead. Keep explaining, please.
That's what I was trying to convey. Thank you for picking up on that. That's a very deep concept in alchemy, and has a lot of implications and a lot to think about there, because and this is an opening into the deeper reality that everyone's starting to think about now. Physicists, and I work with them, and consciousness researchers and psychologists and psychiatrists, they're all kind of converging on this idea about this Ouroboric idea that all is one. When an alchemist drew a picture of an Ouroboros, they put the Latin phrase that said all is one. So in other words, our duality at the final analysis is one thing, and it was split apart. And the Ouroboros is a symbol about how things really are. And you can just see this consciousness change everywhere. Not only in you did you just pick it up, but people pick it up a lot easier than they did back when I was in school. Even in a lot of movies and TV and series, there's The Dark. I don't know if you've seen this on Netflix. It's a German series, but that's exactly what's going on there. They even show the Emerald Tablet, and the idea is, and it's about time travel. And a lot of people are starting to think about science fiction concepts, in terms of the Emerald Tablet and the Ouroboros. So I think that this pattern is going to come out a lot more in movies and books and people's minds and just general consciousness.
Right, and I actually want to pick up before the few minutes this talk that you talking about how like we have the dark and the light side of us. There's a great book. It's called the light side of the dark side of the light chaser or something like that by Debbie Ford. You heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that what happened is I really understood that is needed for us to grow. That darkness we should accept because it's there, and because we try in our society they always try to be like light, but they try to persona. There's a good one. Persona is man try to hide who they are. So many people who I know try to hide who they truly are, so they never know themselves, as the Oracle of Delphi said, right? I would like to I would like to ask, like, since we're talking about how, like, the universe and stuff like that, how can we incorporate the seven hermetic principle into our life? Because what I'm trying to do is a lot of people who I'm helping a lot of people in the law of attraction community to take action because the thing is they have fear and they're struggling. How can we use all these seven principles to live the way we want to live, like the law of vibration and stuff like that? Go ahead.
I think once we understand that there is this process, and we have the confidence to go ahead and put the time into working on ourselves, like the alchemist did, um, the application of the principles come out pretty quickly. I mean, there's no big secret about the processes involved. I've written about them. They're in all my books, basically, the seven principles of transformation. Um, they're linear in that you start with the lead and go up into the gold, or through the metals and through the operations, which are calcination, dissolution. I talked about fire and water. And there's also separation, which is at that point when you start to see there's some value in yourself, you have to take a step of separation, which is the air operations in alchemy or filtering. You have to separate yourself from those influences that are bad in your life. And that's a hard step for a lot of us. You have to end relationships that uh, are taking your energy. You have to quit school, like Bill Gates or whoever, and realize that there's more, that you've got more to contribute than school can give you. There are those times in our lives when we have to separate. So separation is a really important process. And once that happens, you realize that there are these things within you that are worth saving. Pieces of your personality, everybody's different, but for me, I knew that it was writing and communicating with people these ideas that came from inspiration, that were the genuine parts of my thoughts, and move forward and just focus on those and give up other things. So at that time, you come together with the operation called conjunction, which is bringing together these pieces you found that are genuine within you, which are usually masculine and feminine. So the masculine and feminine sides of you, you recognize what's true about those within you, what is feminine in you, what is masculine in you. And you want to bring this together in a marriage called the sacred marriage in alchemy. And that process is the conjunction of the sacred marriage of the king and queen. Lots of symbolism there. And once that's done, you've integrated your personality. So you're at the final stage of what Carl Jung's work would be with a psychologist or a therapist. You've got yourself together. You pulled yourself together. You're integrated. You want to go out in the world now. Now you can work as a real person in the world without being into having the confidence to meet with people. But then alchemy takes a turn into the other side. In other words, not the world anymore, but the spiritual part. And that begins with fermentation, which is mercury, or the planet Mercury and Quicksilver. And that metal is very symbolic of the unconscious, because it takes its own reflection, takes its own shape, takes the shape of one of the containers. It has no structure by itself. It's often associated with the unconscious or the first matter, the idea that it's something primary about your mind. So that is can be a turn into darkness too, because you're opening up your unconscious. So as you go through from often it's like a psychedelic or an experience of near insanity or depression or something like that. It opens up things in you that often overflow and are hard to control. So you need a process of distillation to get through that, to distill the experiences, uh, whether we're talking about a psychedelic experience or some type of psychological experience. You need to step back and get a hold on it. And that's distillation. You take it up into the logical or spiritual realm and back down into that dark experience. So it's a distillation between light and dark, which is your own awareness of it and then your unawareness of it coming together. So it's that we work through for most of our lives, many people trying to distill their lives and understand where their emotions are coming from, where the reactions are coming from. So many people react in ways that they don't want to react in, and fall into habits and addictions that they don't want to do, and they don't understand what's drawing them into that. So that's what distillation is about. Distillation cures everything. It cures addiction, no matter what process you're using in most psychotherapy. It's a distillation process where you try and get some perspective over it. And then the final operation in alchemy, which is coagulation, or the gold becoming gold, is really there's not much to do at that point. It just happens. One day it all falls together. Some indications that there's something on the outside is needed to make that final coagulation. But you get to a point in spirit and in body, according to many traditions in the East, in Taoist alchemy especially, there's born a second body or a second incarnation of your mind, something that's not a material, or something that's between matter and light and spirit, a new body or a new incarnation. Sometimes it's called the second puberty. So there's lots of symbols there too, but it's a whole new incarnation. I think the best way to look at it is the musical scale. There's seven notes in the scale that start from a lower vibration to a higher vibration. When you reach that seventh note, the next note is a whole new octave on the same level. So it's a whole new experience or realm or space.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for that. Wow. You give so much like detail. I hope that the people that use your method will live the way that life is intended to be. Like you said, a real person. They can go out and do whatever they wanted to do. You know, I'm very curious. You are very open minded because when you say school, it's as if you understood how like society is working. Like, where did it come from? Like, where did the idea that you had about school?
I think from medieval times, the of schools came from the feudal area, times when people were um, kind of serfs to the duke or the whatever person in that area had the power, not necessarily the king or anything, but the local rulers. So, in other words, the people were educated in relationship to the usefulness. Uh, if a scribe was needed, then that person spent his whole life learning to become a scribe. So that from an early age, you didn't decide what you were going to do with your life. You know, there was no major or minor for you to worry about picking. You were assigned. You were told what to do. And all the way down to the early 20th century in Europe, Germany and France, they didn't have high school like we have it. It was set that you were determined at an early age that you become a butcher or a baker or a mathematician or a what. So it was kind of a churning out process back then, and that basis I think is still in our way of educating the youth. We go through IQ tests or efficiency tests and aptitude tests, and we've kind of stirred the child that way. I have so many friends who were told that they didn't have the aptitude for different things, when in fact they hadn't discovered it yet. I mean, it was simply, that's why you have to be real from the beginning somehow, to understand what your God-given talents are. You know, what each of us has something to offer in this process of the Ouroboros. You know, whether it's in darkness or light, or whether it's in science or religion or mysticism, there's somewhere on that Ouroboros where we have an important part to play in making the universe move forward. And we discover it only by being ourselves. We discover it only by suffering, like the metals. And that's the process that absolutely the schools, education systems don't recognize. There's nothing wrong with the kids being upset and rebelling and saying nasty things to adults and all this. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a good sign that we're going to have an independent thinker. But that's punished, and people eventually are taught to conform and to accept an ideas and to behave a certain way and to say certain greetings. That's really despicable how robotic we are in this society. And
you are right with that. Thank you for making it clear. That's what so many of us listen to. They probably don't know any better. And that, when I try to associate with my friends or adults who really don't get how the mind or alchemy and stuff like that works, they question if this was true because I believe that how like people say perception is reality. People say that, but I don't think they really understand what that really means because it dives deep with psychology, right? Where if you have a very limited perception, that's how you're gonna see the world. It's through the lens. People may see with their physical eyes, but it's how they interpret reality with their and it's how I always say is your ideas and belief are the lens which you see the world. You know how like they say we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. So I think that you're right. People conform to these ideas instead of thinking for themselves. I would like to ask. I would like to ask, and how can we apply it into our life?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What is Kabbalah, and how can we apply it into our life?
Oh, the Kabbalah, like the Tantric, and you'll find a lot of different traditions in different religions and different spiritual traditions that have these same 7 steps in them, and it are just different ways of treating them, like the tarot and the Kabbalah and Tantric and chakra systems. And so if you just look for these 7 layers, 7 metals, 7 operations, you'll see them. And that's true in the Kabbalah, that Jewish mystics took about the time alchemy was coming to its prime. The Kabbalah, some of the major texts of the Kabbalah came out around 1200, 1300 AD, and that's when the Emerald Tablet was circulating in Europe. So a lot of that is based on these teachings that actually came from Arabia into the Jewish tradition. And you can actually trace that pretty clearly. What the Jewish it's really expanded those ideas. If you notice on the Tree of Life or the Kabbalic system, the Sephira, the different vessels on the Tree of Life, there are the same 22 paths that are in the tarot. There are the same 21 paths that are in alchemy, plus the zero path of the Fool, or the beginning outside the process stage. And what they've done is really elaborate on these 7 basic levels of the tree of life, which you can see on the tree of life. The 7 levels correspond directly to the 7 metals. From Malkuth, which is lead, to Keter, which is gold. It's all embedded in that tree. What the Jewish mystics have done is broken that into a duality of the left and right path, and the central pillar is the direct way, and you count the metals there. And the tree of life is into these left and right paths, or the paths of light and darkness. And you can just really, they did a lot of thought. We don't have time to go into all these different paths, but if you look at Tiferet, which is at the center of the tree, which is the stomach area in the Kabbalistic bodily anatomy, body of God anatomy, you'll see that's where all the lines come to. That's where all the connections are, and that's our heart. And that in that tradition, the heart is really the organ of transformation, because that's where everything ends. So you go through this distillation process from Malkuth to Keter, and you keep on with this process in Jewish meditations. But at the end of the meditation, it always ends up in the heart. It's like distilled in the heart. It's like the heart's a vessel for that process in the Jewish mystical meditation. It's really a beautiful analogy and an elaborate system to work with. But you can work with that, and that's the same. You can work with the tarot cards, and that's the same with alchemy. You can work with psychological levels of transformation, like Edward Edinger and Carl Jung and Silber and others, and that's the same operations the alchemists use.
Yeah. Wait, I read it in the book. I try to understand it. Is it tree of life is also like kind of we have the tree of life within us. Also, it's also what the chakra system, right? Is it? Or
That's correct. Yeah. In fact, it directly corresponds to the chakra system in our bodies, which is all about alchemy. It's a different. I mean, you have Muladhara, which is at the base of the spine. That's the roots, or the Saturnic or the lead part of our bodies, and that's where we find our foundation. And then you move up to Svatisthana, which is the chakra at the genital level, where our sexuality and energy is at, which is that Jupiter or tin part of our personality. And you move right on up through those chakras, Muladhara, all the way up to Sahasrara, which is the crown, the gold chakra. And at each point, by focusing in the body, you feel that the churning energy at each point change. So that's what a chakra means. It means spinning energy. And once that is activated, then you move up to the next one at Manipura, which is the heart. That's where you feel this tremendous coming together at all sections, just like in the tree of life. The same type of feeling in education. At Vishuddha, which is the throat chakra, you feel this ethereal urge to communicate and talk. And at the Ajna, the brow chakra, which is the silver or lunar chakra, you have this insight into new ways of understanding and knowledge. And so it's all there. I mean, it's really all there, and there's no secret. You'll find drawings from 400 years ago of the chakra system that have metals associated with them, just like in Western alchemy. And the Taoist system, too, of transformation is the same type of planetary metal chakra energetic system. So it's really amazing how the same system is present in all these different cultures and religious traditions.
yeah, I like it. They have I think that too many of us, like, I know that people aren't, I used to be Buddhist, but I realized I like to learn from different religion. Each religion has its own merits, I believe. Hinduism, um, there was the Bible. The Bible has a lot of teachings. Buddhism, all the way through what was it, the Torah, the Quran stuff. I think that too many people try to have one religion because they stick to that one and they were born into that and that's all they know. Um, I would like to ask. Wait, go ahead.
Uh, you're absolutely right. I think we should change religions every couple of years. And I went through the same thing. I went through a Buddhist phase and a Protestant phase, a Catholic phase, and Zen. Uh, Everything I could study from Quakerism on, and that really helped me understand that the nature of the one God, the nature of the chemical idea of the Ouroboros, and that there is one mind behind everything.
Right.
So that's
That's what. Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, so many because I want to get this out there a little bit. I study. I read a little bit about Hinduism. Too many people think like there are many gods, but they say that there's one God, like into all. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I would like to talk. What is your passion in life, and what do you love to do? Because you talk about math, and you like math.
yeah, that's my original. I got into math. Well, not technically mathematics. I'm into mathematical logic, which is more of a philosophical way of looking at mathematics. And I was fascinated by the work of Kurt Gödel, who was a mathematician at the University of Vienna. Um, and he's proven some amazing things about the structure of reality that most people don't. I mean, you probably haven't heard of Kurt Gödel, um, but you will, because he's made a profound change on the way science and religion and all areas of knowledge are moving forward in the world. He proved back in the 30s that what's called the incompleteness theory, that any logical system of thought will develop its own contradictions and inconsistencies. In other words, that doesn't sound like much, but it was the longest proof ever made, and irrefutable systems fail. And now that means that mathematics itself is kind of like a game that we play in our minds. That there's no reality corresponding to that. That Gödel actually proved that there is a mind, or one mind, that is outside the universe that that we can never understand. So we will never, through any of our science, mathematics, or any other way, artificial intelligence, ever be able to understand until we're able to understand that outside, the thing that's outside the universe. In other words, take a chair and you draw a circle around the chair. You'll never understand that chair by staying within that circle, because who built that chair? So you have to go outside that circle to find out where did the padding come from? Where did wood come from? How did it all come together? You have to leave that circle to fully understand it. So that's the truth of the whole universe. Draw a circle around the whole universe. And that's basically how he proved it. So the implications of Kurt Gödel, his name is spelled Godel, are really profound. And scientists, when his work was first published, mathematicians committed suicide. There were mathematicians around the world that changed their majors and went into different areas because it was such an upsetting thing that hasn't filtered down into our everyday world yet. But it will, and it's slowly coming down. There are several books being written about it, but it's a profound change. Has a lot to say about how computers and artificial intelligence will evolve and what they're capable of. It also has a lot to say about um, how we should focus on science and what type of things we can learn from science. It gave rise to fuzzy logic, where a lot of like your cameras on your cell phones all work as precise as they do because of Kurt Gödel, because he showed that they don't work as well if you stay to a strictly logical pattern. You have to fuzzy it up a little bit in order to get a complete understanding. The Cray computers, I mean, there's such an unseen influence of this man in our world that it really is quite amazing. And that's why I got into mathematics. And that helped me expand my mind and realize that freedom of consciousness is all we got. You know, it's really all. The only valuable thing in the world is our ability to think clearly and freely without expectation or control.
Thank you so much for that. I asked this. What is your passion in life, and what do you love to do?
My passion is really understanding. I meditate and try to understand different levels. My goal is really to understand imagination, where images in our minds are coming from, how images relate to what is real, how the light in our mind corresponds to the light in society. You know, how, like you said about, do we create our own reality? And if so, can that reality be changed through our own interaction with that reality? So imagination is an area of research or understanding that hasn't been explored, I don't think. I mean, Carl Jung said that imago, the power of imagination, was the one thing that gave us the possibility of both wisdom and reality, a new reality. And there's a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, I do agree with that because school don't like we usually imagination. And Albert Einstein, he used his imagination and he got in trouble. I think I forgot, I read it somewhere that he got kicked out for daydreaming. You know, yeah. And thank you so much. How do you define winning for you?
How do I what? I'm sorry.
How do you define winning for you?
No, you're not coming through.
How do you define winning for you?
Winning free?
Winning, like how do you find winning? Like, um, my winning is to interview you, or my success is I want to interview.
I see. That's a good question. Um, but winning is a dangerous thing, I think. The idea of success and winning um, can come from that part of us that kind of is created by society. So when we think we're winning, sometimes we're really just ending the race or losing in a bigger way. For instance, um, you get a new job or you get a promotion or something. That focuses your attention on a lesser part of your experience. So I wonder sometimes if it isn't best to be a loser, or to think that to accept not winning. Winning's about striving. Winning's about pushing yourself. Whereas I think you should be letting yourself unfold in different directions. So it's all a question about freedom. Uh, who are you winning for is an important question. Why do you want to win something? And what effects will that winning have on your true self, or that part of you? So it's a tricky question. Now, you can't go through life. Certainly you can't when you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s, when you're supposed to be producing, being a loser, wanting to be a loser. You have to want to win in our world. It's a very competitive society we're in. But there comes a time when you might want to just let go, and even if it's for a retreat or backing off a little bit from society and all that striving, which I realize is important. We live in a materialistic world. We have to survive first. But there's a tricky thing about winning. We want to be careful about how much winning drives our lives.
You give very interesting answer. It's like you give me a new perspective how we see it. Thank you. That one I enjoy. Well, since we talked about this, what does see my definition of success is really different. It's not based on people they always come for the law of attraction for the big house, the car, and stuff like that. Mine is just like my winning and success isn't. It's to grow me, to grow my
Right.
consciousness, to grow my
Right.
awareness.
Right.
But so many people want to come in law of attraction, not want to heal themselves or grow to become a better person as a whole, so they can provide value to the to you or to everyone else. So they just try to achieve. What does success look like to you? Because that's I've been trying to search for an answer. What does success like to you?
Success would be a person who is balanced, simply balanced is a success to me. In other words, you have both sides of you in equilibrium, and you're from that point you're ready to spring forth in any direction. Otherwise, you lose your balance when you try to move forward or go forward. So, balance is success. If you're balanced, if you're being who you really are at any given moment, that for me would be success. And so I'm not comparing that to society or expectations of other people, your spouse, whatever anybody wants from you. That's not success to me. But balance leads to wisdom, and wisdom I think is the one thing in the world. The possibility of wisdom is really an amazing thing if you look at it. Why if we're just animals and we're just surviving and everything's materialistic? Why is the possibility of wisdom? Why is the possibility of having perspective and understanding things? So I think that, as you said earlier, winning and the idea of success, to become obsessed with that, like being always right or being, and I'm thinking of our president right now, actually, that kind of personality that has to be right all the time is really a total falsehood to who that person should be or who that person really is. And there are people like that who don't even know who they are uh, in their everyday world, let alone in the world where things start falling apart in your personality or in your body, when you get diseased or aged, or when things happen when you really have to take a hard look at yourself. That hasn't happened in in that life or many others in the world. And that's an example that everyone can see, and of unenlightenment, of unbalance.
Right. Thank you so much. I do agree with you. I understand what you're trying to say. Um, for example, it's like an argument. People always want to win, right? But because I hear this on Oprah. She was speaking to a college graduate, and it hit me. Oh no, but she said it somewhere. She said no. She said either in some YouTube video. She said the reason why people argue is, can you hear me? Do you see me? Are you listening? Am I
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realize that when I don't, when I sit back and listen, all they want is for you to listen to them and see them that they're there and accept them, their point of view and who they are. And when they're hurting and angry, it's that it's not. They want to see, like they want to see that are you listening to them. And I agree with what you're saying. Like, yeah. Thank you so much for this time. Where can we find you? Are you on any social media?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I have Facebook pages, and my website is dwhauck, dwhauck.com. I have a lot of resources and articles and things there. And I I lecture around the country at different conferences and things. They're mostly on my website.
Okay, and you also have a YouTube channel, right?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel and Twitter and some other things. I'm all
Okay,
in.
it's okay. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this interview. I really enjoy it, and I thank you for sharing this to the audience your wisdom, and thank you for creating your beautiful book.
Thank you for your great questions, and I appreciate your time.
You too. And I hope you have an amazing holiday. Do you celebrate Christmas?
Yes, Christmas and Hanukkah and all the holidays they all have a different meaning. And having grown up in the Christian tradition, Christmas is a special time.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Subscribe to my channel. Awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.